So good day, Ubers. Well, now I'm just doing it for fun because I think it's kind of cute. Uber. So, yes, I have a miter box. I have a few of them. I have a miter assembly that you can adjust it in the angle. I have all those things. I also have a compound mounter saw. Yep, got that too. But I just want to do a simple cut, putting up some molding. And you know what, if you're using a mounter box, it's usually 4 inches wide, and you're trying to hold the crown molding in one place while you're trying to cut a 45. So I came up with this idea. I basically took a piece of 2x2, which is an inch and a half-ish, by an inch and a half-ish, and a couple pieces of strapping. I made a spacer right there so that inside this miter box it could fit this piece of cove, 1 3/4 cove, which is amazingly enough hooked on the ceiling, and you can fit it into this box like so, and you can hold it in place with your thumb, and you can cut it at a 45 for a corner, and inside or outside. And you can also do a straight cut if you wanted to. I didn't have one need for one at the moment. As I can see, I have some writing here. It's for dummies. This is a miter box for dummies. So when you cut moldings for the ceiling, corner ceiling, ground moldings or whatever, you're always cutting them upside down in a miter box. Even on a, if you have a chop box, you would also be cutting them upside down. So, the top of the goes on the bottom of the box, and up on the side wall is going to be where the bottom edge of your molding goes. If you got a compound mounter, you can of course leave it lying flat and cut the angle that way. But it's always good to know how it's done this way. Well, how people have done it for years is with this particular method before they got else duplicated. So the line, I have this line written here, right here. So this is the edge of my skill saw, edge of the guide, so that I'm not looking at the blade necessarily. I'm looking at this guide here. I'm looking at the blade. I line up my mark with the line in the box, the cut mark, but I'm also using these as my guide to line up my saw to cut across. And I just did a few cuts with it. It works pretty well. There's the left side, there's the right side. You have to kind of keep track of your sides, because actually the right side becomes the left side. So, if it's an outside, it's a different. You kind of have to think about it. But what's nice about this particular one is it's pretty simple to make. You can kind of make it to fit your molding, and then you can probably get your cuts done a whole lot better. Now, the old school was you cut a 45 on each side and you marry them together, and you probably fill it with some little caulk. There's a new version of it that you run your molding straight into the wall, and then your left side that's going to come up against it, your other piece, you'd cut at an angle like this, and then you would use a coping saw to cut out the end. So this is your end. So what you do is basically you would cut across this way with a coping saw, and a coping saw is that little thing that's looks like a cheese cutter, except it's got a chewing blade on it, and you would cut right along this edge with that, and you just cut across. So basically you end up with like this blade, sharp knife point right here. And then this edge would go into your other molding, and that would give you your corner. And they come out pretty well. As long as you're really good with that coping saw to cut that edge out. You can't do that for an outside corner, only an inside corner. And it doesn't work well for, well actually it might work well for corners that are more than 90 or less than 90. I've kind of tried both methods. This one actually is easier if you've got the right tools. But if you're going to be doing corners that are not 90 degrees, you might want to just have a miter saw, rent one or buy one. It's up to you. But I just thought I'd share this little thing. I think it's kind of cool that I came up with. I don't know if I'll ever use it again. It might end up in the scrap pile. But I was originally going to do the whole house in molding, and then I changed my mind and just taped them out. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to go around with the molding. It just adds to the cost of everything. And it's just something else to do. And there's too many something else's to do. So the other thing too is what one of the old school methods is to, when you're doing like this wall here is 17 feet long. So the best way to join up two pieces of molding on a wall is to actually cut out your pieces where they're going to meet like this. So you do a 45 on your end cut. So instead of cutting straight across like this is, if you cut it like this, you're then marrying up those two ends together, and they're hard to seam that way. So if you do it this way, they kind of marry in together a little better, as long as you don't buy them at a discount center and they're all different sizes for the same stock. Hopefully you buy it at a reputable dealer. And then it's a little easier to piece together in the end. So hope that helps a little bit. And then you can fill it with some caulk, and if you're really good at that, and if you want it to be that way, it can almost disappear. I'm not sure if I'm going to be so creative. I could be, but I don't have I'm running out of patience. I really am. And I don't really have any. My helpers are all kind of abandoned me in a way, and I got to look for, some new, some fresh meat to assist me in my work over here. And because it's people kind of say, oh yeah, I'll help, and then it's try getting them here. Anyway, I'm babbling because I'm tired. Everybody have it's such a beautiful day out there. It's not humid, and the sun's out, and yesterday it was raining every hour or so. It would go from this to rain, but it never actually got dry. It was always humid. So ta-ta for now.